out-of-town's conflict with them. So back in May, I appreciate Vice Chair Jay McCosh filling in for me in the spirit of building relationships, because we don't see you very often. I'd like for us to go around the room and briefly introduce ourselves. Because I'm Bobby Compton, Town of Mooresville, Chair of Centralina.
I'm Ken McCool, the Mayor Pro Tem of Matthews.
Joe Hudson, City of Statesville, City Council.
Amelia Stinson Wesley, Town of Pineville.
Michael Osborne, Commissioner from Cornelius.
Jennifer Teague, Mayor of the Town of Harrisburg.
Jarvis Woodburn, Essex County Commissioner.
Wayne Deatherage, Councilman from Marvin.
Tommy Long, Town Manager of Council.
Jim Muller, County Mineral Springs, Town Council.
David Schultz, Mayor Pro Tem Stallings.
Martha Sue Hall, Mayor Pro Tem Albemarle. Pat Sledge, Spencer Alderman.
Mayor of Salisbury.
Darrell Hennett, Mayor of Canales.
And with staff, starting with you,
Sure.
Executive Director.
Geraldine Gardner, Executive Director. Berenice, Senior Planner. Reagan Murphy, Regional Planner. Megan Upchurch, Regional Planner.
Denise Strasser, Finance Director.
Katie Kutcher, Assistant Aging Director. And I'm Linda Miller, and I'm the Aging Director. Michelle Nance, Deputy Executive Director.
And
Vice Chair, Mecklenburg County Commission, Elaine Powell.
thank you, everyone. Thank you. We've been monitoring the attendance, as always, of in-person and virtual delegates. I'll now ask Kelly West, who's filling in for our board administrator this evening, to confirm if we have a quorum.
You do not have a quorum at this time.
Okay, so there's only one motion to be made on this agenda, and it will be the agenda and the minutes from the last meeting, and we'll just fly right there. Yes, Martha Sue Hall.
Two things. Do we have anyone online and how many are we away from for? Sorry about that, Shelley.
I'm online. Patty
Who's
Crump.
Patty Crump, Stanley County Commissioners online. So does that help us with our forum?
I'm online. Mayor Pro Tem Sean Rush, East Spencer.
Thank you, Sean Rush. We have three online.
Thank you.
Who's the third online, please?
I'm online, Becky Smith from Bessemer City.
Very good. Thank you. From Bessemer City, thank you so much for joining us online. It's three online. Those we have present, we're still one short. Still one short. So we've been monitoring attendance for in-person and virtual, just as we did. I now ask Kelly Weston, who's filling in to call the, you need to call the roll? We don't need to call the roll. Listen, Narissa Claiborne, who is usually our board administrator, is not here. Kelly Weston's filling in. Narissa lost her father this morning. So I'm going to ask for a moment of silence. Please keep Narissa in your thoughts. Is that we for a moment? Thank you, everyone. Thank you. We have Narissa and her family doing well.
Chairman Compton, we also lost the chairman of the Board of County Commissioners in Union County yesterday. So if we could continue to keep that whole, the county and their board in our thoughts and
What is his
prayers.
name?
Stony Rushing, RUSHING.
Okay. So they're one of our own. So yeah, just keep them in your thoughts, please. On a procedural note, to help us move the agenda more officially, please be sure to state your name. And I know it's hard to remember that each time you want to speak or make a motion or something. Take a motion or a second to speak. Please speak your name, especially those online, this on virtual. And then Ms. Weston here can have a record. There are no amendments to the agenda. And comments on the consent agenda, it's just one item approving the Board of Delegates meeting minutes. And there's a few clerical errors on the minutes from May, but they are corrected internally. Kelly is aware of that. She will fix it. So I will not ask for a motion since we don't have a quorum or the regular agenda and consent agenda is presented. We'll move now to item 2, the Centralina Spotlight Aging Services. My favorite groups here. So
I'll just set you up real quick. Good evening, everybody. It's good to see you. The aging staff is really excited to present a really short spotlight video about two services, age-friendly planning that is in cooperation with the planning department here, and age sensitivity training that we think will help you prepare your communities, your staff, for how to handle, plan, communicate with the aging, the influx and the growth of the aging community in your area. All right, so, and after that, Katie's gonna say a few words and we'll be available to answer any questions you may have.
Recording in progress.
Me too.
This month, our spotlight is on age-friendly community planning services, led by our Centralina Area Agency on Aging and Centralina Regional Planning Departments. This collaborative work supports the local implementation of healthy community solutions that aim to improve quality of life for older adults throughout our region. Recent data has shown 1 in 5 North Carolinians will be over the age of 65 by 2030. In response to the growing older adult population, Governor Roy Cooper signed Executive Order Number 280, North Carolina's commitment to building an age-friendly state, in May of 2023. This important piece of legislation directs several state agencies to formulate plans, assessments, and recommendations to improve the caregiving workforce, public outdoor space access, broadband access, transportation options, and more for older adults within our state. Centralina Area Agency on Aging's partnerships with the North Carolina Division of Aging and Adult Services, AARP, the North Carolina Department of Transportation, and the local Aging Services Network help us to inform and support age-friendly planning for our member governments. Our agency provides comprehensive age-friendly awareness and communication trainings, as well as trainings on how to make your community dementia-friendly. Member communities can also work with our aging and regional planning teams to pursue an AARP age-friendly certification through a structured process of needs assessments, recommendations, planning, and implementation. We previously assisted Stanley County Senior Services with a needs assessment for new services, which included a demographic analysis, public engagement activities, a review of current senior center services, and a comparative investigation of services in 5 peer counties. The findings were used to develop recommendations for Stanley Senior Services to utilize as they plan to expand senior centers throughout the county. This spring, Centralina Area Agency on Aging partnered with dementia-friendly Charlotte-Mecklenburg to conduct a combined aging sensitivity and dementia-friendly training for employees from the Mecklenburg transportation system. Attendees participated in hands-on exercises to understand the obstacles older adults face when using public transit and how they can adapt their customer service skills to better assist and communicate with these individuals. Efforts are currently underway to schedule future combined training opportunities throughout our region to support the goals Executive Order 280 aims to achieve. If you are interested in learning more about age-friendly community planning services and how we may be able to help your community, please contact Centralina Area Agency on Aging's Assistant Aging Director, Katie Kutcher.
All right, and that's me. So just some closing words. Quick question, just checking in with our audience. Is anyone in the room aging? Yeah, we all are, right? So of course, we know we're all aging, and so of course your communities are aging also. So please reach out to us. We're happy to help you with planning for your communities so that people can age in place and stay in your communities. And we're happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Katie, I'm curious, Kannapolis is working with the YMCA. They had a senior program in the past and it sort of dwindled away. We've talked about creating a new one, working with them together, active living, whatever you want to call the new name for it. And we're interested to have, do you have guidelines or help that you could provide for us and them to figure out what a good program for active seniors would be?
I think we do have a framework through our aging services network and our existing partners. Like of course, Cabarrus Active Living and Parks is a strong partner with us now through their senior centers. If any organization is interested in becoming a senior center, there's actually some standards and guidelines through the Division of Aging Adult Services that we can help provide. And of course, if there's interest in just finding out what are the needs and the interests in the community, that kind of community engagement is something that Centralina can also help with to help determine what do people want? What kind of programming would they actually come out to and access? So I think those are all areas that we could potentially help with.
Thank you.
Other questions?
You identify a need for funding, are there sources to get funding for things you might need to put in place, or is that something totally on the county?
That's a great question.
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think that between planning and CEDC, Geraldine, don't you think that we might be able to provide that support to at least look and see? You all know that block grant funding is only so limited, but I think that analysis of what might be out there and what other creative ways to fund it.
Okay, right, thank you.
Are there any special support group, sounds too goofy, but resources for persons in office who are of an aged population? I know we in Pineville have 3 of our 5 council mayors are in their 70s or 80s. Are there special things that are available for those people serving in that capacity at that age?
So I would say in general, the Area Agency on Aging is a great resource for people to find out what programs and services are available, what types of benefits might people be eligible for to help with those kinds of community connections. So there's that. And then of course, if it's more in general planning for how staff may work with older adults or provide the best customer service for older adults, that's where that aging sensitivity training comes in and can really be a really great opportunity for individuals to learn about working with older adults as well.
I'm just finding as I serve with persons who are decades older than I am, how valuable it is to learn from their wisdom and their life experience. And I think that's something that we who are in leadership in our communities can do a good job of modeling.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you.
In one of the pictures of one of the slides, you had individuals wearing those special glasses I think that's like a blindness or something, or peripheral vision loss or something. Is that part of a program that you would present?
It is. So that's part of our aging sensitivity training, which is really experiential. So it's hands-on, and then it would help to demonstrate what it might be like for people living with different vision impairments or arthritis, hearing loss. And all of that is to help raise awareness and empathy and serving and working with older adults, and also to create awareness around as you're creating your out-facing materials, keeping in mind, can people read them? Is it accessible? And I think that's really powerful messaging, because once you go through that training, it's eye-opening. You won't look at materials the same way after you have that training. So that's specifically part of that aging sensitivity training. And it's a lot of fun too. People love that training. Any other questions? And just to say, so we're excited about that governor's executive order. The age-friendly certification through AARP has been out for a while, but hopefully this will help gain interest. And so there is a process to become an age-friendly designated community. And really all that is a commitment to continue to work to be age-friendly. Because we know it's not just you do a couple things on the checklist and you're done. All right, we're age-friendly indefinitely. It's really communities committing to ongoing efforts to make sure that their communities are places that people can age in place. So thank you so much. So reach out if you have any other questions. Don't hesitate to contact us. We'd be happy to work with you.
Thank you, Katie.
Question, Martha Supal, I know I wasn't gonna say another word, sorry about that. I know I wasn't, but this is gonna be interesting, because we've got about 5 counties represented in here, okay? I would, and I know that counties have senior centers, but I'm just listening, do we have some cities, towns, or villages that have senior centers within their jurisdictions that they take on?
Yes, so there are, and I'll say also that we have some senior centers that are part of the kind of state funding network, and there are some senior centers that are not, smaller, and they may use other sources of funding. So it just depends from community to community. But if you're interested, the state does keep a log of all of the senior centers in the state. We certainly have the list of all of the senior centers in our region. So we'd be happy to share that if you're looking to see where the gaps may be. We can help with that also.
One more quick question. So for the in-home care businesses that are out there, they seem to have a hard time getting paid or funding for helping to take care of some of the elderly as they progress through some of the dementia stages. Is there an effort? And it seems like a huge gap, talking with some of those healthcare providers. Seems like a huge gap. Is there direction for that? Is that seen as an opportunity to work with some of those in-home healthcare companies, or what's going on with that?
Linda, thoughts?
As far as making sure that they're trained, we can offer training to those for-profit organizations. Most of the counties that receive block grant funding do subcontract out to those exact types of organizations. Beata nurses, what are some of the other ones, Katie? We only have one provider that has their own
trained staff
in-house that doesn't subcontract at all. Everybody else subcontracts with multiple home health agencies, private for-profit organizations. So
And I'm sorry, who is it that's doing the outsourcing? So who would these companies go to?
everybody but Union County Council on Aging.
It's going to the county. So they would,
Yes.
when people need help, if they go to the county, they'll direct them
For the
back out
block
to the
grant,
agents.
but there is a wait list for those
For the block
services.
grants.
If you
Yes.
privately can afford it, it's wonderful if you,
It seems like a lot
you
of
have the
people can't.
resources.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. That's why hopefully block grant, it's just that the need is greater than the funding.
Okay, thank you.
May I contribute there for really quickly?
Yes, ma'am.
This is Patty County Commissioner in Stanley County. I work in home health, and like my particular company that I work for is Centerwell Home Health. So I'm really glad that question was asked. I think one of the things that we're seeing from our end is insurance is pretty good about paying for home health services if there's a skilled need. And so if there's a skilled need where we can qualify a nurse to be in the hospital, to be in the home, or a physical therapist, occupational speech, any of that to go into the home to help patients recover there. That's great. And insurance will pay at 100%. Most all insurances do, except for when a patient needs a home health aid. That's different. When they need a home health aid for bathing, and for sometimes with a skilled need, you can get a home health aid a couple of days a week for a few weeks, but that's about all that insurance and Medicare will pay for. So I think that's one of the biggest needs. And I mean, I'm sure you probably know that as an identifying need, but if you don't, that is one of the largest needs that we have. And then that's a private pay thing, to have someone to come in and help prepare meals, bathe, and that sort of thing. It's about $18 to $22 an hour to go through agency. And I know Beata does it. We do not pay out services like that with my agency. So they're different. You have to know, but there's a ton, I can't think of them right now, but it's very expensive. So I would just ask maybe if there's could be some sort of focus there to help pay for home health aides to come in and help prepare meals or whatever like that.
Absolutely. And the block grant does, it's just that the funding's so limited, we don't even make a dent.
I
And there's
understand.
no mean
Absolutely.
testing or questions about income on the block grant. It may be the person next on the wait list may be weighted by need. But everybody's equal. We don't ask for income qualifications or anything, but you're right. The need is huge and we can no way touch it.
Yeah, hey Patty, it's Michael Osborne from Cornelius. I failed to announce myself and you couldn't tell who was talking before. If you make any progress on this topic, if you wouldn't mind, shoot me a note or getting it out to the group. Love to see it. And I'll do the same.
I appreciate that. You said, Michael, what's your last name from Cornelius?
Osborne.
Osborne. Okay. Thank you.
O-S-B-O-R-N-E.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
Is there one more question?
Yeah, Wayne Dethridge, you talk about sensitivity. You have elderly people that are sick or they have problems and they won't answer the door, they won't answer the phone or there. I threaten them to call the sheriff for a wellness visit. Is that sensitivity or? I really don't, you can't just sit there and then somebody opens the door two or 3 days after you worry about them, they're dead in there.
Well, yeah, and part of that too, we always like to include a little bit of elder abuse awareness training, and part of that can also be self-neglect. So part of that is also about how to connect with your local adult protective services department, so that if you have a concern about someone, their health and well-being, their safety, that you would have the resources and know how to make that connection.
Well, only thing I know is that, if you want a wellness visit, you call the sheriff and report it and give them the address and everything. Has there ever seen anything else that's out there?
We can get you, this is Linda Miller. We can get you connected to your local county lead agency, which should be able to help look at local resources and what might be available. But we would never fault you because it's out of a good place and the goodness of your heart that you care about somebody and you're worried about their well-being. So you're right. What do we do then after that? Even if everything checks out, how can we get them connected to the community and resources?
Well, when I leave a message, they do call me now.
But let us know, we can help you get connected from there in your county or resources in your area.
All right, thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Katie and Linda. A great question, great conversation. I was going to say this to my comments at the end, but since we're talking about aging, I was going to mention this. The Centralina Area Agency on Aging is sponsoring an age-friendly communities walkability and pedestrian safety. And it's with the Vision Zero Community Coordinator with the Charlotte Department of Transportation and someone from the Associate Director of Advocacy and Outreach with AARP, North Carolina. That is from 10 a.m. until 11:30 a.m. on Wednesday, August 23rd. And if anybody wants to do that, they can just get on the Centralina website.
Yep, and the registration link is right there, and there's no cost to register. So it's a great learning opportunity. We're excited about that. We also just got AICP approval. So we'll be adding that information to the website too. So for any planners who are looking for credit, that will be an opportunity as well.
Good, thank you. I just want to mention that while we're talking about aging. Okay, everyone, that's great. If you haven't heard that before, it's a new agenda item at the start of each board meeting as Centralina staff from various departments with a success story and a highlight on what they offer. I think agents always do with that. So the purpose of that is to share with everyone how our work has impacted the region, local communities, and I think that is so with the question and comments everyone had. So I really appreciate that. If you notice when Katie asked about who's aging in the room, Martha Sue's hand was the first one up. And it was the last one down. I don't know what it is. Okay, with that, we'll move on to item 3. Item 3, the 55th celebration and FY24 work plan overview. Our executive director will share with the board delegates plans for Centralina's 55th year celebration, including year-long initiatives and staff road trips.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I actually put 2 hands up. Aging doubly. All right, so just a few comments on our work plan for the fiscal year. I guess we're in it now. It's August. A quick reminder of our collective vision. We're here to be a collaborative organization and a trusted partner. Those were the words you gave to us, and the work that we strive to do every day is in achieving this particular vision. And our mission and how we do our work is to lead regional collaboration and spark local action to help improve quality of life and expand opportunity across our region. So hopefully, as our third board meeting of the year, this is a familiar refrain for all of you. We have 4 strategic goals that our work plan each year addresses. I'm going to give a few examples on goal 1 and goal 3 today. Our next agenda item, Michelle will dive into some of our local programming details and share with you ways for you and your communities to get more engaged in Centralina activities. Before we look into fiscal year 24, just a final report on our activities from last fiscal year. We had 62 tactics in our work plan. We achieved 95% of them, which I think is pretty fantastic. There are 3 that we didn't get to. So this team works really hard. We have a full plate. We're really excited about all of our accomplishments from this past year. And you all will see our annual report in detail at our October board meeting that kind of highlights some of our successes in this space. So looking ahead to our fiscal year that we're currently in, we have 73 actions that we're attempting to sink our teeth into. So we kind of up the ante a little bit from last year. And we have our core services. So lest we not forget that the work that Linda and her team do on a day-to-day basis and David and his team on the Workforce Development Board, these are core services that we deliver through our federal funding, plus all of the new innovative work that our other departments are doing across the region. So let's dive into a few examples under our first goal of regional collaboration. Some of our highlights for this year, we are keeping on with implementation. We do regional planning activities, but we are really dedicated to seeing those plans come to fruition. You're going to hear about Connect Beyond tonight in our mobility agenda item. We also have our regional economic development strategy that we are pushing forward on implementation every day. You all seem to enjoy the data presentation that we gave at the last board meeting. So we're going to do some more work on data analysis and look forward to producing a State of the Region report this year. And as always, we'll continue to do our federal and state advocacy engagement. Goal 3 is our service to individuals. This is primarily our work in aging and workforce development. You see that robust list of core services there. So it is so important that we're doing this work that we're funded to do. But these 2 departments also have a few new and different activities that they're leading. The first one, Linda and her team are really working to think about how we can more effectively partner with the Medicaid managed care entities and expand the types of direct services that our Centralina team can offer to individuals in your community. We're continuing to offer more direct services. We launched a home improvement and chore program this past year that was very successful. So we're going to continue to scale that. And we'll also be scaling the youth opportunity sites in communities that were launched this past year. Troutman, we have a youth opportunity site in Troutman and Morven and a few other communities across the region. So we'll be expanding to 3 more sites. So I'm going to skip goal 2 because that's coming up from Michelle. Goal 4 is really about our internal operations. Rest assured that we are always tweaking and innovating and trying to find more ways to be efficient and fiscally sound. So there's several activities in our work plan related to that goal as well. And I just want to wrap up with a few comments about our birthday. So this fiscal year, we're celebrating our 55th anniversary of service to the region. Right before I started, we celebrated our 50th anniversary. And in that year, we really put the focus on our counties. This year, we are lucky to have 55 member municipalities. So we will be focusing on our municipalities this 55th anniversary year. We'll also appreciate our counties, but the municipalities will be in focus. Our team will be hitting the road this fall. We're doing a regional road show. We'll be meeting with every local municipal member government in the region. Some of you have already got little pings and invites from either myself or Michelle. If you haven't heard from us yet, you will soon. We actually kick off our regional roadshow tomorrow in Morrisville, and then we'll be going throughout the region. This is an opportunity for us to sit down with you, hear about your needs, talk about what we can offer, and just show our appreciation to all of you for being members. So we look forward to those moments and spending some time with you in your communities. And then our other celebratory opportunity will be on October 8th. This is our regular Board of Delegates meeting, but instead of a meeting in this room, we're gonna have a little celebration and a little party. So more information about that will be coming out. It will not be here. We're gonna have a formal dinner, an opportunity for some discussion and networking. And we hope all of you will be able to join us for that. Yes, sir.
Sunday?
No, it's a Wednesday.
It should be October 11th.
11th, sorry, get my dates mixed up.
But it says 8th
And
right
it
there.
does. Thank you.
But it,
October
in the board
11th.
packet, it says the 11th.
The 11th, yes, that was me and my aging brain. Any other comments or questions?
Do you know where that's going to be?
We are finalizing the location, and we'll share that shortly. Yes. All right, well, that is my preview of most of our work plan, and then I'll leave Michelle to cover the rest of the next item.
Thank you, Geraldine. If you can, you want me to take slides? Sure.
Thank you, Geraldine. Now, Michelle Nance, we're going to item 4, right? For the local government programming service preview FY24 work plan.
Thank you. So goal 2 is all about service to local governments. And I'd just like to take a few minutes to talk through what we have planned for this year. And Kelly's going to help out on that as well. This is a lot of text on a slide, but guess what? We made a copy of these slides for this particular section and put them at your seats. And what we would like for you to do is you can take that back. You can talk to your other council members about it. You can talk to your manager, your staff. So as we go through here, just know you don't have to retain it. You've got it with you, okay? Take it back. So these are the items that we're going to touch on like really quickly. And they span all of our departments. And we're going to start with the game department, which is government affairs and member engagement. And Kelly, I'll let you go for it.
So we are excited about the programming offerings that we have in store for this year. The first is a training opportunity, and as you all might know, may have participated in, there is a professional development opportunity for local governments right here in our region, and that is Centralina. We have expanded our offerings of general government topics that we'll be focusing on. So if you've attended any of our grant writing sessions, we'll be continuing to offer those. Some of the other topics that we'll cover this year include conflict resolution, aging and sensitivity. So some of what Katie spoke about earlier, we'll have training on that. You'll get to participate in that. We will also be offering communications training on storytelling, telling the story of successes in your community, programs, initiatives that you want to communicate out to your constituents, and also looking at strategies for employee recruitment and retention as well. So these are some topics that we heard from you all, from the managers group that we convene regularly on areas of interest for potential training. So we will continue to offer our planning series. And these are topics that are really geared towards planners, but open to anyone in local government. For planners or anyone with AICP credit, they will be able to receive continuing education credit for attending these sessions. So our first one coming up will actually be on code enforcement. That will be next month. Some other topics that we'll be looking at will be some best practices for planning for environment and sustainability, artificial intelligence applications for planners, connections between housing and transportation, and then also transportation demand management as it relates to economic development and workforce development. So another opportunity that we offer each year is the CLT Aviation Academy. And so that is a opportunity for a behind the scenes look at the inner workings of Charlotte Douglas International Airport. It's really a very hands-on experiential opportunity, and so something that we're excited about. It's open to local government elected officials. So some of you I know in this room have participated in that recently. Because the airport is such a big economic driver in our region, we really encourage having local government participation in the academy. So application period will open this fall. So we ask that you please be on the lookout, encourage you all to apply, but also ask that you encourage your staff and other electeds in your communities to apply to participate as well. The sessions will begin in January. And so some of what participants will get to experience, you'll see on the next slide, a behind the scenes look at safety operations, get to tour the new air traffic control tower. You'll see a burn demonstration in some of our fire safety operations, a visit to the American Airlines hangar, and as well as a visit to Wilson Airfield, the private airfield, where Atrium houses its aircraft. So again, just a really good opportunity to get that behind the scenes look at the airport. Just be on the lookout for when that application period opens. And so another initiative that we have been working on that we are also very excited about is our small towns initiative. And we have really an understanding of the various needs and unique needs that small communities have. And so one of the things that we've been doing is working on kind of looking at the different service opportunities that we can provide and to address those needs. And so one of the ways that we'll be doing this will be through education and resources really tailored to smaller communities. We have, again, like our Centralina Learns opportunities, but we also have our member portal on our website, which we're actually in the process of expanding, and that will have some resources as well tailored to small communities. Also, we offer our member communications, our newsletter, our website, as well as social media. Some direct services. So we have been offering services related to communications, human resources, finance, growth planning, and just some general government services as well. And I'll dive into those just a little bit deeper in a moment, but continuing to offer those targeted to small towns. And then again, peer learning opportunities. So opportunities for engagement specifically for smaller communities, as well as our regional managers group meetings. We'll have opportunities for those that will focus specifically on smaller communities. As far as the direct services, some of those that we're looking at kind of expanding on would be our financial administration training. So helping communities prepare for and recover from disasters in terms of the financial aspect of that. Again, continuing to offer our grant services, so strategies for pursuing funding opportunities for smaller communities, human resources assistance, so assistance with recruitment, as well as looking at personnel and operations policies and helping develop those. And then some strategic planning services really focused on the needs and long-term planning for smaller communities. So that is our small towns initiative and something we've been working on and something we're looking forward to really moving forward with this year.
Thank you, Kelly. It's really exciting to be able to spend some focus time with small towns because they make up many of our communities. And when we say small, there may be a question like, what does that mean? Probably 10,000 or less, 10,000 in population or less. But if larger communities, we can certainly scale up those services and provide to you as well. But we want to just make sure that our small towns have a threshold of policies. Sometimes it's only one person, two people, and it's really difficult to make sure that they have all of the policies that they need to have in place to be as efficient as they can. I saw a question back here.
With all the small town and local governments and municipals, where would one go to learn about wastewater treatment plants, the latest and greatest technology that's out there and costs, and just to learn about it, because well, our county's having issues, and developers are trying to figure out how to get around those issues with alternative, and I don't know if they're good, bad, or what, but where would we go to learn about this?
I would say one resource that I know to be really valuable, especially on the financing for water and sewer, is the School of Government. They have, folks that are, doctors in that, category, or who teach on that at the collegiate level and have done lots and lots of research on what that looks like for communities. Whether they have training on that, I'm not sure. But we can certainly think about having one of them come in for a Centralina Learns event if that seems
Not
like.
so much about at this point, it's not about the financing, it's the technologies that involve and how have things changed, and ours are 30 years old and they're falling apart. Some of them are unable to be expanded, et cetera, but I've had in the last 2 weeks, 2 developers come in and they want to do their own private wastewater, and they tell me it's the latest and greatest. There's hardly, it's too good to be true so far.
I know the American Public Works Association. So for the larger communities that have professional engineers on your staff, they're typically involved with that organization, and they do a lot on that as well.
What do you say?
Well, I was at a forum meeting last week, and the forum is representatives from each of the 16 COGs. And we had a presenter from the North County Division of Water Infrastructure. He was talking about funding mostly, okay? However, it appears to me that if you would go to that Division of Water Infrastructure, that they would have some link on there about the newest and the best practice and all that kind of thing. So, I mean, I just pulled out my information from that meeting. So the North County Division of Water Infrastructure, I think you could probably find the newest and best there. So just throwing that out.
And I'd add, Joe Hudson, Statesville. Before I got on council, I was director for water and wastewater systems for the city of Statesville. School of Government has got some, don't forget, they'll push that to a side. They are an awesome resource about latest technology. And you're right, when a developer tells you it's great, it's not. So I don't have to tell you that, but trust me, I've been around that block a lot. But they are a wonderful resource. And if I was you, that's where I'd start. I'd think for a shovel.
You include me, but you give me a course.
We're all in
We all.
Yeah. For all the strategic planning our local municipalities have done, we are facing a brick wall.
And I'd like to add too, I'm on a listserv with the North Carolina drinking water and wastewater issues. It's through the school government. It's through school government, unc.edu. It's a listserv for just that. You have to do with that. Thank you.
So you just heard a really great video from Aging that addressed some of these issues. And you also, if you missed it, just wanted to say that we are having a Centralina Learn, so an educational event on aging sensitivity and how you can, create an aging and dementia-friendly community. If you want to learn more, come to the Centralina Learns events. Information on when that's going to be happening will come out usually about a month or 2 ahead of time. And one of the things that Aging is also working on is with our counties, with a goal to offer more meals and services. What about doing some bulk buy? We've done some surveying about that, and the counties are very interested in it because they want to have the opportunity to buy those meals in bulk and then potentially serve more of their clients. So we're working with them on that and more to come. Our workforce board has been helping local governments and will continue to do that. They do hiring fairs out at the career centers. They can do a career fair. They can do some specified training to help with retention. So they are you've heard David talk, they are the experts in this. if there's information you need or problems you're having with retention. And I put some photos here, and I just happened to see, here's one of our mayors up here in the corner. And then planning is working on some things that if you think about as our communities are changing, just being ready for those changes in terms of energy and the environment, making sure that if you wanted to put an EV charging station in your community, is your code set up to even do that? Something to just be thinking about, or actually installing one. And then we're working with counties with the health departments. They're wanting to know, hey, we've got limited resources. We want to know where our folks are coming from that want particular services so we can target those services. So we're helping them with mapping and doing a lot of work in that vein. And then finally, our Community and Economic Development Department is doing a lot of work on, housing choices. And so these photos are actually from a very recent session that we did in Statesville called Statesville Thrives. And Statesville wanted to engage a big part of their community to talk about what their needs were on affordable housing. And then we're actually working with communities on the other side. So the city of Belmont, we're working with them on making sure that their codes are set up for different types of housing. So just making sure that the options are there. And then disaster recovery, financial administration. You heard Kelly talk about that. Something happens, FEMA now said, you want to get that money from FEMA, you want to get reimbursed. Think about the communities out there that have one staff member, they have a clerk, they have an administrator, and then maybe a part-time code inspector, something like that. How are they going to be able to follow all the FEMA rules? So statewide, there's an effort to make sure our communities know what to do, know what forms to fill out, know where to find the resources so they can get reimbursed when those issues happen. So we're really excited about that, and we'll be rolling that out later in the year. So I mentioned before, you've got this in front of you. Talk to your council, the rest of your council, talk to your manager. You can call us anytime, or we'll be out visiting you as part of the 55-year anniversary. I just scheduled my 8th meeting that I'll be going out to in August. Okay, so we'll be out to see you soon. But call us anytime. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Any questions for Michelle or Geraldine regarding the work? FY24 and yes, Elaine Powell.
Can you give an example of how something you helped a health department with?
Yes, so we worked with Cabarrus Health Alliance to basically map what I'll call health indicators. So how far is their population away from, they were interested in recreation and physical activity. So how far is their population away from a local park? What does the sidewalk and transportation network look like? How far does someone have to walk to get to a school site that might be open for a playground? Where's the access to local foods in their community? So really kind of looking at all those things. Can people get to healthy food? Can they get access to a place to be physically active? And just kind of a snapshot in time so they can see where their needs are. That's one example. We've done the same thing in Rowan County. We're going to be working with Rowan County on another mapping project as well. So those are the types of things. And then every 3 years, health departments have to do a CHENA. What does that stand for? Community Health Assessment. And when they do that, they have to pull a lot of demographic information. And so we can help them with that. We do that a lot in our long range planning processes. So we can help. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Elaine. Thank you, Michelle. Direct your attention now to item 5, mobility theme update and delegate engagement. So I think there's some additional work doing stuff here. At the February Board of Delegates meeting, we asked you to share feedback on the top issues you'd like to discuss at board meetings. Mobility was one of them. Centralina is doing a lot of work to improve mobility, choice, and connection in our region. It's important that you're aware of this, how this works, and the different ways to connect and get involved. Jason Wager, Carolina's newly promoted Regional Planning Director. Since Michelle took over as Deputy Director, we have Jason as our new Planning Director. And his team will give the presentation on student engagement. Jason, come on up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sorry. You met Sarah, Reagan, Megan earlier as we went around, and they're really going to be the folks I want to get you to, because they're going to engage with you and hear from you a bit more about this topic of mobility. But just to set some of the background for all of us, we all know we got to get around. We need to move places for very practical reasons, education, healthcare, and jobs. But it's just fundamental to a high quality of life that we've come to know in our region. And we know as we continue to grow and we'll see our population double in the next 2 to 3 decades, that's going to continue to be a need. And so what we look at from this regional lens is how do we work across those boundaries that nobody cares about when you're traveling? All those artificial, if you will, jurisdictional boundaries for them. How do we make sure that people can get around, goods and services can be transported most effectively and efficiently? And then, of course, that builds on itself, so we continue to have more opportunity and growth and thrive in our region. So with that as the backdrop, we've really seen the Connect Beyond regional plan that many of you in this room have been involved in. It's officially adopted in fall of 2021. We've really seen this plan emerge as our flagship guiding program to be sure that we are focused on the right mix of things, with over 120 recommendations ranging from near term and sort of straightforward, a little more possible now, to quite aspirational goals and everything in between. This is what guides us on what we do. So you can kind of see the structure in brief, 5 major buckets that they fall in, what we call our mobility moves: creating, expanding, strengthening, building, and investing. And I kind of always like to point out that I like this order because a lot of folks jump to the far right, the big shiny investments that we see in the news, but it's all these other things around our places, our networks, our bus network, those rural to urban connections that are so important to have in place so we can get to doing those bigger investments successfully. And I love this picture. If nothing else, it's that point in time, a memory for me. This was February 21st, I believe, right before COVID hit. This was the first and only in-person meeting we did throughout the entire plan, but it was a chance for all the partners to get together. And if you have time to take a peek at all the faces and perspectives, it's really inspiring. And a lot of those same organizations stay involved and engaged today. And I will say, if you weren't personally involved, your town or county still is, believe it or not, because our partners are those MPOs and the Rocky River RPO around our region, and they still maintain that connection to us.
Is that picture taken at the airport? Was that meeting? Okay.
It was, yep. Some folks always recognize that clock. It's very notable. So, through the MPOs, we continue to make sure that we're rolling out information and so forth. Related to that, one of the things that we knew had to go on and continue as we talk about those near-term wins and I say easier opportunities. We'll talk about a couple of those. Nothing's easy or be done by now, right? But we know that we've got some things we could be working on pretty soon. I'll talk about those in a second. We'll do more tonight. But the big stuff: funding, governance. How do we all work together to get this done? This is a big topic. The investment, the amount of investment that's needed just to keep us in that thriving zone that I talked about. So that's where a subcommittee of the Centralina board, was created, the Advancing the Plan Committee. And we've got our co-chairs. You can see we have one here tonight. We'll turn to him in just a second, see if he add anything to this, but this has been an incredibly valuable journey this year over really 6 meetings. We've had 4 through July 28th, but we've started to peel back the layers on this discussion. I think when we started, we said, oh, we've got to figure out how we want to talk to the legislators, and we need money. We need to figure out how we all get along. Well, we all knew that. It was good to get that out on the table, but now we're starting to get deeper into that. So what does this look like? What are the practical matters? And so hopefully by the end of the year, we'll have a jumping off place. I don't think this conversation ever ends fully. It's an evolutionary conversation, but this committee is really helping set the stage for what will resonate in our region, and not just in, maybe one county or one city, but across this very diverse region that we have. So I don't know, Mr. Co-Chair, if you had anything you want to add.
Yeah, let me share a few things, and pardon me for my scratchy voice. One of the things that I think you should know about this committee, it is very hardworking. It has been a huge commitment of time and effort and leadership and help and support along the way. I think you will also need to know that there are approximately 40 people who have committed all of this time to be in this organization in the Advanced Plan Committee. I will share with you that each of us came in with our own ideas of what it was that we were there for, how it was we were going to accomplish the things that we wanted to accomplish. So you have this balance, or this thing that you work with that is about local control and then working together. How do those things really work? And so I am very, very pleased with this committee's effort to do exactly that. It has been a wonderful enterprise where they walk in. Sometimes they take off their local hat and put on their regional hat and say, what's best for the region? How can we get this done? Realizing that they still have that local hat, but they have to go back to their local communities and get support and get help along the way. But it has been a magic kind of discussion among that committee to get those things done. It has been exciting for each of us. I mean, you read about it in the newspaper where this group doesn't like that group and all that kind of stuff. That is not going on in the committee. The committee is trying to figure out how we can get to a place that will be good for us, to balance control with some kind of governance model. Our goal in this effort is to put together a regional governance model. What does that mean to each of you as you hear those words? I bet that you have an idea what that means. And as a result, the other 40 in our committee have had ideas too as to what that means. Does that mean I get to run it and operate it and you just give me some money? Or does that mean I give you money along the way? Where does the money come from that we're going to work on as we go through this process? And to be honest with you, our legislature has not been very interested in transit, in busing, in other means other than roads. And as a result of that, how can we turn that around? Because mobility is so important to us. One of the things that Jason and Geraldine said early on, no one community has everything. Think about it: education, workforce, planning, healthcare. No one town has everything they need. So how do you get to what you need? And that is by sharing along the way. So as we work hard, as we go, now then when the rubber hits the road is, okay, I got it. I understand that we have to do this regionally, but then how do I get my people back home on board to make this happen, to do that? I mean, in my community, we still argue about how this gets done. And that's okay, because we all know that we have good ideas that we can pull together. So what I'd like to share for you all is, if you are interested, if your community is not represented on that committee, we still have 2 more meetings, September and November, is it? September and November meetings that we have in front of us. We would love for you to come and participate and to listen and to share your ideas, because you may have the best idea of what a regional governance model will look like when we're all done. So we would love to have you on board.
So that's a great summary of, and you can hear kind of the energy around that conversation, and it's one that's gotta happen. And excited about the progress we made. At the same time, we'll get the question, so are we just stopped and on pause until that all gets, sorted out? And that's not the case at all. There are funds, as you see in the news all the time, bipartisan infrastructure law, Inflation Reduction Act, and other funding sources that are out there now and available. And we have needs now, and we know we need to take advantage. So we are doing that. This program here, you'll hear more in a minute. I won't get too far into the details. I think what transportation demand management represents to me, though, is efficiency. It's not adding more steel and concrete and more investment in that way. Rather, it's saying of all the investments we've made already, how can we reap and eke out more efficiency from that system through outreach, technology, letting folks know about, did you know this system links up with this system and you can use it in this way? How can we get more folks maximizing the investments we've made? So you'll hear more about it. I'll stop there, but it's a great opportunity. First program of its kind in our region, should launch next summer. And whether you're urban or rural, you can participate. There's something in it for everyone. Seamless connections, we're calling the next item. I think this is, kind of for a lot of folks who have been doing this a while, this is the low-hanging fruit. How do you, if I want to pay in Concord and then go to uptown Charlotte, and I'm on a rider bus, and then I get on the Blue Line, and I've got different apps. How do I know when they meet up? This is the kind of stuff we're talking about. Single payment, one app, scheduling all hooked up and linked up, so I'm not waiting for an hour. And when it says the bus is going to arrive, it actually arrives, and so on and so forth. And this is the kind of discussion that we hope to do here. Take advantage of software and have everybody kind of sharing their plans on a single platform, understanding what those plans are, and making sure that we're not making changes and then folks are finding out when they get to the end of their destination, the bus information. So these are all easier relative to those big ticket items, but will take some coordination. That's something else we're working on. So a couple final takeaways. We did apply, this is the month of May for us, these two applications. This was quite a May that we just had, but great opportunities, both of these. This is a DOT opportunity, and it's building what's, as you can see, called the Regional Infrastructure Accelerator. So for us, it would do two things. It would help us build capacity in the region to do bigger projects, and it would help to what I've heard referred to as federalized projects. So there's a lot of work to do before you go after those big federal grants, with the big millions and billions. This is a smaller investment now, and we would hopefully get a couple of pipeline projects off and running, and you can see those. And then the EPA Climate and Pollution Reduction Grant. Don't let that wonky name fool you. This is funding that once we get our planning underway, should be able to do projects and activities in every one of our communities around transportation, around any number of things that you may already have in mind that can help with improvement around climate. Chances are we can find some linkages somewhere in some of the things your communities are doing. So this we hope to hear anytime, both of these we hope to hear anytime about having received those. We're excited about what they can do. So with that, I want to turn things over to Megan Upchurch, our director for the Centralina Clean Fuels Coalition. And I think you also get the honor of getting everybody going on the engagement.
Just gotta remember that. Well, hello again. My name is Megan Upchurch. I am a regional planner here
And I am also the director of our Centralina Clean Fuel Coalition, and I'm working my way this way because I need to get close to the engagement side of this. So that's why we had that nice little introduction. So what does that mean? What are my responsibilities? So what this means is we are part of a national program that's through the Department of Energy. We are going on our 30th year this year at the national level. So what that means is we have the large scale of having the resources from the DOE, but we are focused locally. We are in our communities working every day. We are here to be like your trusted resource for all things alternative fuels and fueling infrastructure. So there's 75 coalitions of us currently across the United States. And we are right here, one of 3 in North Carolina, and we cover the same boundaries as the regional council that we are housed within, which means we are here for all of you in this room and everyone else, all of our member governments. So I say all that because I wanted to give a brief overview of kind of where we've been and where we're going. There is a lot of talk about electric vehicles right now, but I also want to point out that this is very much an alternative fuel neutral focus. So we can talk about, when we were talking about trash trucks, it could be something maybe like compressed natural gas in your fleets. You can be talking about medium, light, heavy duty vehicles. That could be, you know, propane in your city buses or your school buses. So we have a range of these options that you can help implement into your own communities. And there is also an added bonus right now of all the federal funding for that currently. So we are that trusted resource. We're here to help you better understand the grants that are available. We're your technical resources. We're able to pull from actual national, state, and local level knowledge on what exactly you might need and how best to answer your questions, whether you are, you know, a area of 500 people to a larger, closer to 1 million people. So we have that opportunity that we can actually sit down, have a conversation with you personally about the needs for you, needs for your community, and what might be best out there to help you meet those needs and wants. So I'm going to jump into our first engagement, which is really the biggest piece of this, is asking you guys, what do you need? What are you looking for? What are you hearing in your own community so we can better make sure that we are here to assist you? And so with that, you will be jumping on to pollev.com. Also, the placards in the middle of your tables also have that information. And you can also go in through text messages as well. You can text Centralina to that number. There will be floaters around the room also to help.
I know, so you just type in.
And we also have a QR code if you're looking for QR codes up here.
That's right.
Let me try to keep it.
Do I have to come up there?
Oh, yeah, well, I mean, you can if you want.
We're just doing it from this, or do I?
I'm telling you, I
can't just walk around with copies.
That's why we're floating.
By the time my phone fires up.
Yeah.
That's all
Oh, God.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. First, let me know the meeting's on, okay?
Everybody
Does it have to be on the?
feeling a little more comfortable with that right now?
The question, okay.
All right, so the first question of 2, and I'll give a little extra time with this one as well because it's a kind of write your own answer piece. So it'd be, what is the most common questions you're getting about electric vehicles currently? Or electric vehicles infrastructure in your communities?
with that one in Matthews a lot. We applied to a grant through Duke Energy.
Yeah.
For electric vehicles. It's been pretty stalled to get that. We had 2 electric vehicle chargers before. It was cool, like 10 years ago.
And so
then-
now you're doing that.
Yeah. trying to-
And there are becoming more and more funding opportunities for that as well. So that's something that could be maybe like a larger regional focus of replacing that throughout all the 9 counties.
What?
Wonderful day.
Yeah, exactly. We are lucky.
We're getting
Tesla
responsive.
dealership in Matthews, so that's where everyone goes to charge their car.
Put some fun in there to send, right?
And then you
Where are the EV stations?
It's like it's such a small cost.
But just a reminder, EV stands for electric vehicle. And that could be also when you're talking about full electric vehicles to your plug-in electric vehicles. I know there's a lot of questions on that, to the original types of hybrids. So it could be any of those questions that you might be getting in your community. Yeah. I was like, the one that we are seeing a lot, I will note, is who can afford the vehicle?
That's very.
That is, and that's a conversation that happens in every type of meeting with any type of person, any type of group. It's, okay, well, we're seeing the new ones coming out, but you know, they're a costly vehicle. So now we're actually seeing more used vehicles coming on the market, more resources for finding those used vehicles. And then there's also a tax rebate that will be added on top of some used, of the used vehicles. So that's a great question, and we are finally getting a little more information and a little more of a range on making those more accessible. Great questions.
We stream this for
So in the city.
For the sake of time, I'm going to move on to the next one. And it is a little bit, oh, I'm on the wrong way. I did not go down to. There we go. So last one, because I did say that we do look at all types of alternative fuels out there. And we want to be sure that we're tailoring these conversations to what you all are needing and what's actually available on the market currently. I just wanted to gauge, and then you can check all that apply. If you're hearing about biodiesel and hydrogen and natural gas, and those are like the high focuses, please just check everyone that you're seeing to give us a better idea, because I want to make sure that what we are sharing with you all is actually pertinent to your here and now with your communities, and also looking to the future as you're doing some more of your long range planning. Just gonna give a couple more minutes.
Ethanol, you're talking to denatured diesel fueling.
I figured electricity would be the highest percentage, but I like the solid mix. So it's good to know that everyone's still kind of looking at the variety that's out there. Well, with that, those are the only 2 questions that I had. There's more to come, but this is helping set that foundation for what's to come out of our side of things for you all, and how best we might be able to not only help you, but help with some of the more regional transportation focuses that are coming out of our organization. So with that.
Question, what's renewable diesel?
The renewable diesel is more of it's like it sounds, it is renewable. Excuse me, it is renewable. It's already been spent and it's being used back in the system.
What does that mean?
That they're capturing it after, yeah, they're recycling. It's recycling.
You recaptured what though? Yeah, what? Once you burn it, it's exhaust.
Yes.
So the feedstock that's used is going to be some waste products. It's the difference between that and biodiesel is comes down to the standard. It's distilled out and how it's created, but it's using some waste feedstocks. What they found with renewable diesel is it gets pretty eaten up quickly by big fires. because they can basically access some credits, renewable energy credits. And so that's why it's actually turned into quite a controversial conversation, because we have some folks in this area that would love to get a hold of it, but some big players nationally kind of take the feedstock all up pretty quickly. So.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Should people stay on the polling?
Yes.
For the next?
So please be sure to keep everything up. Reagan is also going to have a few questions for you all during her presentation. So if you can just leave all those up on your phone right now, that way we can just jump right into it when she's ready to go. And on that, I will turn it over to Reagan.
Yeah. Stand where you sit too. I will also be here just in case for the engagement. But hey, everyone. I know we're coming up to the end of the meeting here, so I'll try to keep things quick and exciting. But I'm Reagan Murphy. I'm a regional planner with Centralina, and I'm also, alongside my colleague Sarah, we are the project managers for developing our regional transportation demand management program and plan for the greater Charlotte region. You heard a little bit about this from Jason earlier, but we are currently in the process of developing our regional program. And we're really excited. We've got a diverse steering committee full of perspectives from across the region, from communities across the region, and also industries across our region. So a lot of different perspectives represented on that steering committee, but we're looking to engage all of our stakeholders across the region and really get consensus from all of our jurisdictions and stakeholders on what this program really needs to look like to be successful. So with that, I want to do two things for you tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about what TDM, or Transportation Demand Management, is and why it's so important for our region. And then we'll get some input from you on who we need to be partnering with, who we need to be talking to, and how we can work together to make this program a success. So first things first, what is transportation demand management? Really, it's about providing transportation options and transportation choices for folks across our region. At its core, TDM is focused on improving the efficiency, as Jason mentioned earlier, of the existing transportation network by helping travelers better understand the transportation options that are available to them so they can make better use of those options. And there are regional and local TDM programs that exist across the country. And those programs have helped those communities achieve important outcomes like better access to healthcare and employment. So we're really excited that our region is going to be joining those ranks. TDM in this initiative stems back to the Connect Beyond Regional Mobility Initiative and is a really important and critical first implementation step of Connect Beyond. And really Connect Beyond lays out a two-pronged approach for TDM. One of those prongs is increasing mobility options to better meet the travel needs of folks in our region. And the other is changing folks' travel behavior. So changing the way people travel so that we can make more efficient use of the transportation network. And this slide shows just a couple of different options under each of those approaches, but really the key is a successful TDM program that combines these two approaches can lead to really great outcomes for our region and for local communities, like improved quality of life, strong local and regional economies, and more efficient transportation. And the most important thing, Jason alluded to this, but really what I want y'all to take home about TDM is this is a flexible approach that can be adapted to different community contexts, right? We have really unique and distinct communities across our region that have very different needs from one another, right? Our rural communities do not have the same challenges or opportunities or needs as our suburban communities who have different needs than our urban communities. And TDM allows us to honor and elevate what makes each of our communities unique by customizing different menus of transportation strategies and options to suit different community types. So strategies might look different in a rural community versus an urban community, but there are options available for all of the communities across our region. So with that background, I really want to turn to y'all tonight, right, as the local experts and the leaders in your jurisdictions what we're looking for you to tell us is who do we need to be connecting with in your communities on TDM? And how can we work together to ensure that our TDM program benefits every community across our region? So we're gonna bring Polly V back, and we have 2 more questions for you. So the first is, which focus areas will be most important for your community? You can choose up to 3, and if you actually go ahead and flip over that half sheet of paper that's in front of you on your desk, not all of the options fit right on the slide, so I wanted to make sure you have all of those options available to you as you're answering that. And then which potential partners should we be reaching out to who might be early adopters of TDM or supporters? Basically, who should we make sure we're not missing when we're talking about TDM across the region? So with that, we'll jump into the first question. You should be able to submit answers now. And like I said, we've got a lot of different options, so make sure to pick your top 3.
If we write other, do you want us to put other on, do you want us to put?
Sure. And if there's I'd love to pick on you actually. So is there?
Everybody else does.
Yeah.
That's what I'm here for.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. What do you feel is missing? What should be added to that list?
So in our region, we have 2 Veterans Administration hospitals. 2, one in Charlotte, one in Salisbury. We have a hot load of veterans within our 9 counties. And some of them, if they could get there, could get services. And everybody says, yes, we have a problem. Yes, we've got a problem. Yes, we've got senior money or we've got adult money. We can do it. We've got it. But we are having one hell of a time getting the person with the vehicle, with the driver to there. And I think that that is a biggie because we are an aging community and we're an aging with veterans community. So that's my J I'll put on there.
Thank you for bringing that up. I think, something we see in a lot of other TDM programs nationwide is there's a focus on commuter transportation, which is really important for our region as well, right? We have the majority of folks in our region live in one county but work in another. So that's going to be critically important. But I think what we've heard through some of our engagement already, and we continue to hear, is it's not just commuting that we need to focus on and expanding mobility options. We need to make sure folks can get to healthcare, can get to their daily needs, especially folks without a car, or folks who might have disabilities. So thank you for lifting that up. For the sake of time, I'm going to jump to the next one, but I do just want to, here we go. Spin through a couple slides here. Pause for technical difficulties. I do just want to call out, and I'm doing it again. There we go. That to your point, connecting older adults, people with disabilities, and people without a car to critical services is what has come out, at least so far, from what I can see on the screen, as the top priority, alongside transportation safety and securing funds, which is not surprising. So this next question, open-ended, feel free to submit as many ideas as you'd like. But we're really looking, who are the folks in your community, the businesses, whether local businesses or even major employers, major corporations, community organizations, community leaders, neighborhood advocates, who are the folks we need to talk to who are going to be supporting TDM or who you think need to be involved in this conversation. So I'll just give a couple moments for y'all to submit some of those ideas. And the poll doesn't necessarily close when we move on. So if you have ideas, you're welcome to submit some of those after. Sure.
I have a question, Wayne Detheridge from Marvin. You talk about who to work with. I think one of the people you ought to work with is the planners in where they look for going to build residents for older homes. If it is already on that, that's would be just more efficient. You know, if they would build somehow, like they're building the light rail north, and the first thing they build there is apartments and condos and et cetera, but there's nothing. Then later on, when all that space is taken up, they, oh, we need to do this, we need to do that. We really don't make it easy on ourselves.
That's a really great point. I think we have plans to engage some of the planners that work in the municipalities and the counties across our region later this fall. So hopefully that's a point that we can incorporate into some of that engagement with them, is asking, you know, what do those priorities look like when development decisions are made? How can we be more conscious about incorporating transportation and land use decision-making into some of those plans? Thank you for that. Any other questions?
Question,
Yeah.
I'm just interested in knowing, Amelia Stinson-Wesley, Town of Pineville Council. Are there municipally owned or run in our area shuttles, vans, golf carts? Are municipalities doing that? It's not quite last mile. I'm really thinking about it from a social district perspective as we look to adopt those in smaller towns. Who in local government is helping provide that? Anybody?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I know that there are several jurisdictions across our region that are exploring different ways to think about mobility like that. So I know several of our communities are looking at options to explore microtransit.
Is that what that's called?
Sometimes. So, right.
I'm thinking, I'm not
like
thinking
first mile,
personal,
last
like
mile.
scooter. I'm
Right.
thinking more, a little bit bigger than that.
Yeah.
Corporate.
Shuttles, vans,
Yeah.
exactly.
Small minivan kind of things.
Yeah, so Gastonia is an example of a community
Okay.
that's considering doing microtransit, so potentially incorporating smaller shuttles as an option for transit services, especially in areas where they're maybe not serving folks with fixed route transit, right? So they're supplementing that with smaller shuttles and that sort of thing. And I know CATS also has a van pool program that's, I believe, focused on employees and employers. So there's a couple different ways of looking at it, but there are some examples in our region. And I'd be happy to share more
I would
information.
like
with you
more
too.
information about that.
Sure.
Looking at after business hours.
Yeah.
Utilizing the large parking lots,
Mhm.
and transporting people between those and some of the more mass transit pieces that we have. So,
Absolutely. Awesome.
Thank you.
Sure.
Transportation, Union County recently, I guess last quarter, they was running a transportation from Monroe to Charlotte. They got down, they was only having 10 or 12 people on a bus, so they stopped it. How can we, people said they don't have transportation, but are we not getting the message out? This is a transportation, you know, if you don't use it, it's not going to be there.
Right. That's a great question, and I think it's one that, you know, we're still grappling with how to answer, right? But I do think it's important to remember there's a difference between folks who choose to ride transit and folks who depend on it, right? And we learned that through the pandemic, right? Where essential workers, right, had to keep going to work. And those transit services for folks who don't have a vehicle, who rely on transit to get to their jobs, to get to healthcare, are incredibly important. It may be that there are only a handful of folks who use a certain route, but if for those 3 or 4 or 12 individuals, that's their lifeline to their job, you know, I think it's important to think about it that way.
But we talk about politicians that they look at, is it efficient use of the money that we're paying for this?
Right.
That bus used to run from Monroe to Charlotte. Cost. Yeah, and they stopped it because it wasn't efficient.
I think their contribution was about $100
a year.
Right.
And it's, you know.
And for 12 people, right, decision, right, exactly. You have to balance it. That's right. Well, and that's where, that's where options like microtransit or potentially a shuttle service.
Well, that's what
where-
it was a shuttle service, what they was running from Monroe to Charlotte and back every day, 5 days a week.
Yeah.
$100,000 a year. And then they said it's not efficient, we need more people. They went another course, no more people.
Yes.
Put them on a golf cart. That's your business model right there.
All right.
That's how do you let the people know that it's there?
All right, y'all, for the sake of time, thank you all so much for answering all of these questions and giving us great feedback through Poll EV. And we're looking forward to continuing to engage your communities as we continue this planning process. I'm gonna pass it back to the chair to continue on with the agenda. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Very busy item right there. Appreciate everybody's cooperation. Thank you, Jason, Megan, Raven, Sarah. Thanks, everyone. Well, participating in interest in that. So listen, folks, we're going to due to time. It's like I'm playing what the Super Bowl going overtime. So in lieu of time, we are going to omit item 6 from your agenda. We won't do that. We won't do the caucusing. There'll be plenty of that on October 11th when we meet again. So I'm gonna go ahead and close, just a little bit behind time, closing comments from our executive director.
Thank you all for coming. We really appreciate you being here, our third meeting of the year. I don't have any other announcements to make.
Okay. Any comments from any of our delegates? Anyone here in the room? Yes, ma'am.
If any of you have sister city relationships, I would be really interested in hearing about your experience, Amelia Stinson Wesley, town of Pineville. Thank you.
Very good. Very good point to bring up. Thank you. Any other comments? Yes, sir.
Real quick, Jim Muller, Town of Mineral Springs.
Yes, sir.
September 9th, we're having our town festival, 10 a.m. Anybody's welcome to come. Look forward to seeing people.
Where exactly is Mineral Springs?
Halfway between Waxhaw and Monroe.
Okay. I would say
Queens Cup. We have a steeplechase.
Yes.
That's right, you do. That's right. That's right. Very good. Thank you. Anyone else? Centralina staff, you're on the side of the room. Everybody good? Thank you both on each side of the room, staff, for your presentations and all the work that you did with that. Okay, my comments, I'll be brief. We did not have a quorum, so the only motion on the agenda was the agenda, the minutes and the consent agenda, the agenda is presented. We'll do that at our next meeting of delegates. We'll do that as part of the deal. Our next board delegates meeting has been stated, means October 11th, we have 55th anniversary celebration. We'll be sharing more information on the location. I was asked earlier for our dinner and celebration details. That will come out very, very soon. In terms of the agenda, we'll receive the organization's annual report. We'll not have any formal actions to take. So we'll remind the delegates, Centralina's regional managers group meets monthly, virtually and in person to provide a forum for our managers and administrators to connect and share important information, just like we do. Their next meeting will be in person at the Charlotte Airport a week from today. So please encourage your managers to attend those meetings and no further business, come for the board, declare the meeting adjourned, and be careful going home. Thank you.